incentive to be brought to bear. So, but that being said, I think these task forces are window dressing. I think Joe Biden is absolutely a product of any number of terrible political traditions. I think his core, I guess Ted Kaufman's there, and Ted Kaufman, when he was a senator for 2 years, was actually great on some banking and financial issues. So I'll give him credit where credit is due. But, we're seeing the lists. We're seeing, Bloomberg and Jamie Dimon and everybody else. And I think that's the presidency and the leadership Joe Biden represents, 100%. And so, I'm holding these two positions of it's a big loss. There's no progress right now. And at the same time, of course, getting Donald Trump out of office is a no-brainer and obvious and important. But, I know that you actually have a little bit of a different read on these task forces and what's taking place. And I'd like you to see if you could cheer me and everybody else up.
Well, I've sometimes been accused of being an optimist, so watch out.
We need that.
Well, a little bit.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah.
My friend Rebecca Solnit always says, be careful about optimism. What you really want to believe in is hope. And hope isn't naive. It says the fight's as big as you imagine, but that you still hope for the right result. And then you work toward it. So here's the heart of the matter. I think that within the Democratic Party, I'm not sure the left has always understood just how well organized the corporate forces are. But I think there's a dawning recognition of that. And I think, frankly, Bernie Sanders' 2016 and 2020 campaigns really helped bring that into focus, along with a whole host of other issues. Vital issues as regards, just think of what's on the table now in a fundamental way. We are talking about Medicare for all. We are talking about, give Andrew Yang some credit for this. We're talking about some guaranteed income ideas. We are talking about criminal justice reform that might actually mean something. We just had a big victory out in Portland, Oregon for a district attorney candidate who backs criminal justice reform. So we're seeing this, we're seeing the issues shift. We're seeing the possibilities open up. And yeah, there are going to be setbacks along that way. Can you imagine, having been a anti-slavery campaigner from 1800 to 1860? What frustrations, what deep disappointments along the way, and yet you carry forward, right? And the interesting thing was that many of these folks moved between different camps and different political options because they were just trying, what's the best way forward? How do we get there? How do we achieve something? They ultimately formed a political party, the Republicans. And so if you understand it as a long-term struggle, right, then you seize every opportunity that you're given, every opening that exists. And that's why I argue for the task forces, not because I disagree with the concept that they're window dressing. They are unquestionably developed to be window dressing. So here's the interesting question. Who makes the window dressing, right? You know what window dressing is, right? It's like things you put in the window, right? Or, it's like, who makes it? Who produces it? Well, if Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Stephanie Kelton and Sarah Nelson and a whole bunch of other people, Karen Bass, who I actually have quite a bit of respect for as a really significant figure coming out of community organizing in California. John Kerry, who, frankly, on environmental issues has been quite a bit better than a lot of Democrats in all these different positions, some Biden appointees, some Sanders appointees. I'm just going to say, let's give it a go. Let's try for everything we can. Remember that there's a representative of the Sunrise Movement on the climate task force. She has already made it very clear that she intends to fight, that she intends to make this an inside-outside struggle. So my argument is that an opening has been created. It's a mistake to think that the platform committee is going to be as significant as it was in some previous moments, I think. I think these task forces effectively have become what will be the platform committee. And I think that there is an opportunity there to draw out a vision and to push it. And frankly, to push Joe Biden. I would use it. And here's the interesting thing, Michael. I wouldn't use it just to have a fight. although fights are fun and they're appropriate. I would use it to deliver a message that Joe Biden is in many ways an accidental nominee. He got a lucky break in the primary schedule. He had tremendous media cheerleading. He had, some things come together at critical points. He's very likely going to be the nominee. But unless he is a complete fool, he has to understand that this didn't come because he's got a great message. It didn't come because he's a dynamic campaigner. It didn't come because he's got a great organization. He had some things in his favor, but he was actually very lucky to get to where he's at. And now to get through November in a way that matters for him, he desperately needs to change, to get better, to understand the dynamics that are required. It isn't just to win the election. He may well win the election, but you know what really worries me, Michael? 2022. Because if Joe Biden comes in with a narrow win and does not govern with a full-on New Deal dynamism, something that really excites people and builds out coalitions and builds loyalty, then something interesting is going to happen, I would predict. And it's the nightmare of the Democratic Party in the modern era. Understand this. Let me just give you quickly. They pushed Wallace aside in 44. They put Truman in. In 46, they lost the Congress, right? They won power in 44, but then in 46 lost it at that critical stage. What came out of that? Taft-Hartley, the undermining of the labor movement, fundamental, horrible shifts. Okay, let's keep on going forward. Bill Clinton, right, brings the Jimmy Carter brings the Democratic Party back in 76, right? But in 78, massive setbacks in Congress, unable to really govern as effectively as he wants. 92, Bill Clinton gets elected, right? He has the House and Senate. 94, terrible setbacks, right? And really disempowered, moves to a hard neoliberal position. 2008, Barack Obama, an incredible victory, wins the presidency by a large margin, wins the House and Senate. 2010, massive setbacks in congressional elections, undermines his ability to govern going forward. The bottom line is this. How you govern when you get power matters fundamentally. And the only way to make Joe Biden govern in a way that will be good for Joe Biden and his party, frankly, is to put enormous pressure on him now and to actually communicate with him logically that he has to move to a more progressive position. So yes, I would use the task forces. I'd use whatever vehicle is available. And frankly, I would use history because the history is very, very clear on this. When the Democratic Party governs with a progressive, visionary, forward-looking vision, it tends to do very, very well, and it tends to hold its power and advance. When it doesn't do so, the modern history certainly is of a real struggle to hold on to that power and to do something meaningful. And Michael, we can't afford it anymore. We don't have another presidency to waste. Brother, I'm not hearing.
You're muted, Michael.
Apologies. I was muted because there was something really loud outside. I apologize. But John, I was just saying thank you so much. Really appreciate it. As always, the book is The Fight for the Soul of the Democratic Party, The Enduring Legacy of Henry Wallace's Anti-Fascist, Anti-Racist Politics. Grab it. Get a little dose of optimism, but most importantly, ground yourself in history. That really is, regardless of where you come down on these things, that is the number one thing. No future without a past. John, thanks so much for doing this.
I'm really honored to join you. Thanks for a great, great conversation.
Thank you so much. Stay safe. Be well.
You too.
All right, guys. I guess we're going to get ready to go into the fun half. Got some stories, got some sound. Become a member of the Majority Report today, majority.fm/become a member. Go to patreon.com/TMBS to become a patron of the Michael Brooks Show. We had a really fun show on Tuesday. I'd go watch it on YouTube. Had the Woke Bros on, Wozni Lambre and Nando Vila. Talked about tracing a third way. Is there a way to have a democratic internet that is not Silicon Valley platform capitalism or the Chinese model of mass surveillance? These are really important questions. The sort of history of the battle of the internet.
Yeah. We also talked about
military industrial.
We also talked about the bulls.
We talked about the bulls for about 25 minutes. That was really we played a hilarious clip of Stacey Abrams realizing she's not going to be vice president, which is one of the funniest things I've seen in quite some time, and a whole lot of other things. This weekend, an illicit history of the idea of claps and public relations from Russia to 2020 today with Mark Ames, which I'm super stoked about. Patreon.com/TMBS. And of course, Red Emma's is restacked with copies of Against the Web, Cosmopolitan Answer to New Right. So I really appreciate everybody. That book is selling very well, and it's a big help to our friends over at Red Emma's. Also, if for whatever reason you have trouble with that, go to IndieBound, and you can put in your zip code, and you can buy books. This is a great way to buy books in general, because you should never buy books from Amazon. Go to IndieBound if you're buying books to buy your books, including Against the Web. All right, let's keep it moving. Jamie, what's up?
Hey, so this week on the Antifada, I had a pretty chill episode with my friend Heather Fortune, returning guest, musician, leftist shit poster, queen. We talked about a little bit about the Elon Musk and Grimes baby. We talked about our cats. We talked about being horny in the choir. And we talked about the great new album from Fiona Apple, which we both really love a lot. So if you enjoy the vibe on a casual Friday where like Sam's just talking to one of his friends on the phone about shit, you'll probably enjoy this too. But, you know, swap out Sam and some actor friend for like me and fellow goth socialist. Also on Friday, that's tomorrow, we are releasing a new episode of Prolit Cult, wherein our published author now, AP Andy, talks about UFOs, conspiracy theories, and the parapolitical. So check that out. That's coming out for patrons tomorrow. Patreon.com.
Congratulations, Andy. Matt.
Yeah, over at twitch.tv/literary hangover, you can subscribe. Yesterday I played, this afternoon, it was nice. We had a short show, so I got on and played Metro Exodus, which is set in Moscow, to Yevgeny Zamyatin's 1924 novel, We, which inspired Brave New World and 1984. So check that out, folks. Twitch.tv/literary hangover.
That is deeply awesome. All right, folks, we are going to take a break, and we will see you on the fun half.
Left is best. Jamie and I may have a disagreement.
Yeah, you can't just say whatever you want about people just because you're rich.
I have an absolute right to mock them on YouTube.
He's up there buggy whipping like he's the boss.
I am not your employer.
You know, I'm tired of the negativity.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. You're nervous? You're a little bit upset? You're riled up?
Yeah, maybe you should rethink your defense of that, you fucking idiots.
We're just going to get rid of you.
All right.
But dude, you want to smoke this joint?
Yes.
Do you feel like you are a dinosaur?
That's good shit.
Exactly. I'm happy now.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win-win.
Oh, hell yeah.
Now listen to me. 2, 3, 4, 5 times. 847-906-501-457. 2, 38, 56, 27. 1/2. 5 8s. 3.9 billion.
Wow.
He's the ultimate math nerd.
Don't you see?
Why don't you get a real job instead of spewing vitriol and hatred, you left-wing Limbaugh?
Everybody's taking their dumb juice today.
Come on, Sammy.
Dance, dance, dance.
Rand Paul.
I had my first post-coital scene with a woman. I'm hoping to add more moves to my repertoire. All I have is the dip and the swirl.
Fine, we can double dip.
Yes, this is a perfect moment.
No.
Wait, what?
You make under $1 million a year. You're scum. You're nothing.
Excuse me? Fuck you, you fucking liberal elite. I think you belong in jail.
Thank you for saying that, Sam. You're a horrible...